Hey there, Tracy here for Trinity Stamps. In today's video, we are going to go retro all the way back to the 1980s with the Lisa Frank inspired card. So let's go ahead and jump in. So today we are going to be using the Your Stellar stamp set, and we're going to be using the 6x6 stencil here that I couldn't see the name of, and I will list it down below. I'm doing a voiceover here and my little recording thing was right in the way. So I'm going to get out my stamp platform and I'm going to stamp these down, what I want to use, down on some alcohol marker friendly paper because I am going to be coloring with alcohol inks, but not in the way that you're used to. So I'll go ahead and pull out the stamps and I'm going to use this cloudy heart and the little rocket and little star. And so I was inspired today by looking at some things from back in the day from Lisa Frank, back when she did lunch boxes and stickers and things like that. And I think you can still get Lisa Frank stuff, but she's kind of changed directions. But mostly it was the 80s neon colors and things like that. And I'm not a huge fan today, but back in the day, sure, I got in trouble at work one time. I used to work in a mental hospital, and I showed up to work in a neon green skirt, one of those kind that were about knee length and they kind of flared out, and some pink tights, and some rainbow socks, and a hot pink top. And yeah, apparently that wasn't appropriate for my line of work. So, no, you do not dress like Madonna. I digress. I'm going to stamp this down one more time just to make sure that I've got everything nice and dark. And I am using Memento, by the way. Ran out of my ink on 3, or it's getting dry, and I don't have a refill for it, so I'm just using what I have. So I'll just give this stamp platform a little bit of love here. Make sure the ink all gets settled onto the paper, and there we go. Now I do let that dry before I color it, so we'll set it aside and we'll move to the next step, where I'm going to be using Tangent neon lunar paste from Simon Hurley and using this 6x6 stencil. And I'm going to put it kind of down in the corner here, and I will want to mask some off as well. So I'll place it where I want it, and then I'm just going to grab some mint tape and I'm going to mask off the top, and then I'll mask off that side as well because I don't want any lunar paste getting anywhere else. And so, surprising, I've had these neon lunar pastes and I barely used them at all, and this was just the perfect opportunity to do so. So the tape also helps it stick to my surface. So here you can see how neon that color is. For the rest of the video, you can hardly tell that it's neon. It just looks like a bright orange, but it's definitely neon. So I'm just spreading the lunar paste on, and I don't try to scrape up too much as I go, simply because I feel like as soon as you start scraping too much is when it starts smearing all over. So I'll just rub some down onto the stencil, and then I'll pull the stencil off and then scrape the stencil. And I always tap my bottle, by the way, to get that delicious goo back down off of the top side. So I'll pull everything off and I'll set this aside to dry, and then just clean off my stencil and everything with just some water. And through the magic of, I already did one here. Now maybe you can kind of see that neon and shine. I don't know, it's a cloudy day here today. So this one dried. It takes a couple hours for it to dry when you do it too thick. So I'm going to be using the Simon Hurley inks in Prom Queen and in Clear Skies. And these are the new Stellar inks, so they're a very rich, they're the same formula, it's just you can get a lot on more at a time. So I'm going to come in with the Prom Queen, and I'm just kind of going random, almost as if they were clouds. So I'm sticking, of course, with the loud and bold colors of the 80s, and just kind of rubbing that ink around on the paper. And the paper, by the way, is the Simon Hurley Stark White paper. So it gets along well with his product, so I do like to use it. So now I'll come in with the Clear Skies. And as they blend together, I'll get myself a purple here too. And isn't this already looking Lisa Frank? Totally 80s. And I ended up actually really loving this card. I surprised myself because typically I will run from a neon color. But I really don't hate this. So I'm just filling in the empty spaces with the clear skies. Just making sure that I get everything nice and saturated. I think I'll come back in with a little bit of Prom Queen there at the top right. And I love my blending buddies for this. They just are lovely. Let's get a little over here in this top corner too, even though I know I'm going to be trimming this thing down some. Make sure I'm nice and saturated. There we go. Wonderful. So now all I need to do is wipe the ink off of my lunar paste. And I'll just use a paper towel. I was thinking I'd use a rag, but my rag feels a little damp, so that might be scary. So I'll just grab myself a paper towel here and just gently wipe the excess ink off of the stars. And there's our background. Yay! Isn't that crazy? I love it. So we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to be doing some coloring. What I'm trying to do here is show you the neon, but see what I mean? You really can't see the neon in my camera for whatever reason, and even I took still pictures and I could hardly capture it. I don't know, but anyway, we'll set that aside, and I've got my coloring sped up like crazy here because it's simple coloring. I'm just making lines and blending them in. Because who doesn't love a rainbow rocket? And just kind of repeating that on throughout the top and the bottom of the rocket. And then I'll do the little banner across the heart. I'm guess that's a banner. It's a banner for me anyway. And so the coloring couldn't be any easier. We're not worrying about shading or anything else. We're just adding color. And I'll just do the tail of this star in a rainbow as well. And then I'll do him in a lighter yellow. I'll do a little bit of fancy shading, but not too much. Okay, so now I've got this very light blue, and I'm just kind of going around where I think shadows would be in the clouds. And then I'll just take my colorless blender and blend that in. And I see I've got a little red schmutz there. I'm going to try and take care of that later. I'm going to color in the heart, so I'm just going to take 3 shades of red, the lightest, the medium, and the darkest, and just kind of give that heart a little bit of dimension, a little bit of shading, a little bit, not too much. And then I'll fill that back in with the lightest color, and there's my heart, and then I'll do the little heart on the rocket, same thing. Yeah, that was me trying to get the red out. And then I'm going to do, of course, the cloud on this rocket as well. And again, with the colorless blender to kind of just dull out the sharpness of those colors. And then I'll make a pastel-y rainbow here coming out of the rocket and blend that in with my colorless blender. Now I'm going to take a couple of light shades of gray here and just add a little bit of dimension to the rocket itself. And to those little dealy bobs, color in the stars. And right here I have a sparkle pen from scrapbook.com, and it's a blue color. So I'm filling in the rocket and the little ring around the heart and parts of the clouds with this little sparkly blue color. And that's the coloring. So now I'm just going to cut it out with the coordinating dies. And I do end up getting the rocket a little crooked. This is, friends, this is my first use of this little Scout. I just got it, and I've never used it before. So I've got this a little uneven, which is no big deal. I'll just trim it with my scissors. Because it's just that one little part that would be distracting to me. It might not bother you a bit, but it will distract me. So I can't have that. And I'll pull the little star out. It's not going to go on the outside of the card. At first I thought it might, but I decided to put it on the inside because, you know, these two things are going to take up quite a bit of real estate. So now I'm going to go set my card up here. I've got a lime green or a neon green card base. I've got this holographic paper that I foiled with holographic foil. So it's kind of a tone on tone, making it appear more of a, I don't know, an embossed panel. And you're not even going to see much of it. It was one I was getting ready to discard because it wasn't the result I was hoping for. But I thought, well, I could use it right here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to glue this top panel down to it and give it a chance to kind of set up, and then I'll trim off so that I've got, you know, matching edges. I'll go ahead and place something heavy on there. Let that glue dry. And here I just put the pad directly down to the paper of the Clear Skies. And I am going to heat emboss some neon green on a sentiment. And I'm going to do We've Come to Party. So, because I felt like this was a very party-worthy card. And again, I'll put the names of what I used down in the description box below. Because me and my memory, even though I probably pointed it out right exactly what it was, I can't see it. So I'm going to hit that with my anti-static powder. And oops, a star fell out. Wonder how that happened. So when I'm transferring my my embellishments from the bags into the little clear boxes that I have, I dust the bag with anti-static powder while it's open with all the goodies inside, and that helps them pour out so they're not so staticky and stick to the bag instead of going where I want them to. So I'll go ahead and pull this apart, and then I'm going to grab the neon green embossing powder and hope it shows up. I started thinking, I wonder if that's even going to show up on there, but it does. So I still get to stick with my neon party, my little 80s party going on here. I hope you like this retro idea. I know that lots of my teammates have been doing some amazing, amazing work with regard to interactive cards and things like that. But I thought for this one, I'd go another exciting way and grab some crazy colors. So I'll go ahead and heat emboss this, and you can certainly see the neon on that. I don't know what it is with the orange. It just doesn't want to show very good on camera. It looks great in person. So I'll go ahead and cut that out with the coordinating die. Let's go ahead and trim this off. And I'm just eyeball trimming it here, so that all four of the sides are kind of equal-ish, equal adjacent. Here we go. That looks good. Commit. There we go. Okay. Yep, looks good. And I'll go ahead and stick that down to the card base before I start assembling the card. And you could pop that up. I could have even gone smaller with it. So barely any of the neon green shows of the card base until you open the card, and then bam, there it is in your face. Get this stuck down. Just trying to make sure that my tops and bottoms are even and everything. So there's just barely a line of lime green that you can see. Not lime green, but neon green, whatever. Bright green. Just make sure that's good and stuck down. And now I can start assembling here. So I'm just auditioning where I want things to go and hoping that my idea works, because I did not do one of these ahead of time. A lot of times I'll do the whole thing ahead of time, but I didn't. I just colored another set ahead of time, and then just on a wing and a prayer went for it with the crazy background. And I'm going to tape the crud out of this, or foam tape the crud out of this, because I'm sticking it down to an uneven surface, which is all those stars. And honestly, you know, you're going to need a lot of stick power in order to have everything hold. Just stick another one right there. Let's grab another couple little pieces and fill in the little spaces. Let's see, okay, we can put that one right there. I try and use up my scraps first. Okay, we'll grab one, put it right here. Another little one right here. Another little one right there. Yeah, see? Lots and lots. And then I'm going to glue the crud out of it. Trim off that excess there and see if I can find a place to poke that tiny little piece. There, how about right there? That'll work. Okay, fabulous. I love it. It definitely is. Get your heart racing. All right, let's go ahead and get this glued down. And as you can see, I'm putting plenty of glue on here, because I need to be able to position this easily. And then I'm just going to pop this right down here in the corner. It's kind of a cool stamp because it is kind of catty corners, so you can definitely, you know, words are hard. You can definitely arrange things around it. So next we need to do the sentiment. I've got the sentiment done. I got it cut out. I did that off camera. I'm going to lay down my little cloudy heart here, and I'm going to lay that flat down because I'll pop up my sentiment as well. And just so I feel like I have some balance to my card. So I'm just using liquid glue to stick that down because it is sticking to, you know, multiple surfaces as well. And then I'll pop up my sentiment on one of the foam strips. Just clip off that excess. And yeah, I want it to partly cover that cloud, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and glue my little star to the inside of that card. See what I mean about that green in your face? It really is. And we'll get this glued down, and then I'm going to do a lot of embellishing on here. And typically you don't see me do that a lot, but I've got these right here. These little, see, it passed by me quicker than I could read it, but I'll list it down below, and I'll list everything in order so that you can find what I did. And I am going to put a bunch of these on here if I can get them to work for me. I struggle with anything sticky like that. You know what? I'm going to use my tweezers. Hopefully I can get my tweezers to grab them easier. So I'm going to put some medium-sized ones, and I'm going to put medium, large, small, and extra large on here, because I really want to go with that 80s disco bling. And these, if you look close at them, they look like little disco balls. They're holographic. They are super cool. Get one stuck over there. Let's put this big giant one up here. Let's put another giant one right up over here. These could be planets, right? Another giant one there. Let's grab a medium one, put it here. Let's see. I know I want more. Keep going, keep going. You know you want to. I just couldn't help myself with the bling on this one. And let's get some teeny tiny ones down at the bottom. Those are the hardest to grab. Okay, you want to go there? That's where you're going. Sometimes they're the boss of you, and sometimes you're the boss of them. Okay, another little one right here. Stay there. I think I want one more right up here. There we go. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop there. And then finally, I was going to do my glossy accents, but I'm going to do this touch of gloss from Pink and Main because my glossy accents is almost empty and I don't feel like fighting with it. So I'll do the one little heart, and I'll do the little droplets coming off of this heart or whatever they're supposed to be. I don't know really, but they're so cool. I love them. Okay, there, that card is finished. Is it? I think it is. Yeah, it is. There we go. So I'll move all the stuff and get you zoomed in and bring you up close and see if I can get the neon to show up on those stars, but it doesn't want to show up. It still looks great in the orange. Anyway, I hope you like this video, and I hope you try something similar, and we would love to see it. So everything's going to be linked down below, and don't forget to leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.